What does it take to get into an elite business school? MBA Crystal Ball is a boutique admissions consulting firm. Each year, we help a select few applicants get into the world's best business schools. Here's one of our success stories to inspire and educate.
Hello and welcome to MB Crystal Ball's YouTube channel. Our guest today is Roma Mishra, an IT professional who made it to IIM Ahmedabad with scholarship without a high GMAT score. Let's find out how she did it. Welcome, Roma.
Hi, Manish. Thank you for having me here.
Absolute pleasure to have you. For our viewers, could you give us a brief background about your academic qualifications, what you did growing up?
I grew up in Bombay and I did my BTech in computer science engineering from BIT Mishra. Now, I come from a family of scientists and engineers, so that just came very natural to me. It was not a personal choice, it just came. Personally, I have always made sure that my academics and co-curriculars go hand in hand. I've been much more into co-curricular activities. So even before college, I was into singing and painting, and I would take part in various state level competitions, and I received scholarships for the same. For graduation, and that carried forward during my college years and my work life as well. So yeah,
That's great. Very interesting. It always helps to have that balance. Yeah. Where did you head after you completed your undergrad? What kind of professional career did you have?
So I got placed in Oracle India as a software developer, and I worked there for about 7.5 years.
Right. And I mean, that must have been quite intense, or was it? I mean, how did you find the job overall?
The job was a good learning experience, I would say. So again, I was a computer science engineer. So my work here was a very good learning experience, both technically and also domain wise. I was lucky that way that my product came from a hospitality tech domain. So I got to know a lot about the industry we used to solve a lot of real-time client issues. So yes, I got a good exposure. It was a good learning experience overall.
Right. And so you were on the development side, testing. Which area did you do?
I was on the code development side. I was a backend developer, backend software developer. Yeah.
And what made you stick on for so long? It's very common, or it's not so uncommon, I should say, that people move around, especially in the tech industry.
Actually, my kind of work is what made me stick around. And so I would always look for opportunities for learning, and I got that in my company itself. So as such, I didn't find any very solid reason as such to switch at that time.
Got it. And so then what prompted you to kind of look at an MBA, at a relatively later stage in your professional journey?
Okay, so to be honest, MBA was in the cards. So while I was working as a software developer, I knew my next step would be MBA, because even if I'm switching, I would switch to something that would diversify my profile. So as I said, I come from a very purely technical background. So even the learning was very linear for me, but I wanted to diversify my role and function. I wanted to move to business roles. So I thought, and I wanted to do that formally with an education first. So that's what prompted me to think about MBA during, 5 years after my, I thought about it, but it materialized much later.
Got it. And you also kind of had a bit of a career break. So tell us about that. How did you kind of navigate that?
So yeah, I think about after 7.5 years of experience, I had a career break. So what happened with me and my company is that it was amicable, and I was compensated for it. So at that time, it was shocking at first, but then I kind of, it's about perspective, right? I thought of looking at it as an opportunity rather than a loss, and I thought that I needed a personal time for myself. So yeah, I took a personal time off after that, and I knew that MBA would be the next step for me.
Right.
So rather than switching, I took my time. I thought this transition has come at a very perfect time. Let me take that as an opportunity, and then take some personal time off, and then go into MBA.
Got it. So, apart from GMAT, which obviously you manage, how did you kind of go about identifying what kind of schools you're looking at, I mean, geographically, India, outside, how did you kind of, navigate all that?
So it was very simple for me. I knew I wanted to be in this country, and even in future, I have plans to start a venture of my own. And I thought I want to do it in this geographical space. And I believe I spoke to a lot of alums from a lot of schools, and I realized that MBA is actually a very localized degree in terms of geography. So that's how I thought this is where I need to be. So I applied. It was a very simple decision. I applied. So I applied for only colleges in India for
Got it.
MBA.
Got it. And so from a decision-making perspective, right? I mean, did you kind of find motivation outside, for example, people in your network who might have done it, or was it internal? How did you kind of, sort of crystallize your sort of schools and all that?
For schools or for the
Mhm.
decision for MBA?
Both, actually.
Okay, decision for MBA was was internalized. It was purely
Right.
that if I want to work in these, so I go step by step. If I want to work in these domains, let me get the education first. That was
Sure.
my thought process.
Got it.
Uh, but then when I spoke to the alums of these schools in the country, I realized that they provide much more than just education. And through networking, I crystallized the choices that I made to which schools that I need to apply in India.
Sure, sure. That makes sense. And then why did you decide to kind of work with a consultant, not maybe because you already had network, maybe leverage alums, and how did you go about deciding the right team to work with?
So there are two things here.
Hmm.
First, I was short. My immediate application was for EPGP in IIM Bangalore, which
Right.
was just around 20 days away. And very luckily, I had a colleague and a dear friend who was an IIMA alum,
Hmm.
and I spoke to him. Yes, I spoke to him that this is my situation. How should I go about it? And there is a plethora of information out there on internet how to navigate your business
Absolutely.
application, and
Yeah.
I spent a day on it, and it was way too overwhelming for me. And I wanted to do it right. Firstly, I wanted to do this process right. I have less time. I'm already on a career break. I don't want to take any chances over here. So I knew that I needed professional help. I spoke to my alum, and he was also, you were his mentor,
Hmm.
and he directly connected me with you. It was a 2 minute decision that I took, that I took my decision in 2 minutes that I need to connect with you. And yeah, that was my process.
Right. Got it. And then tell us, how was your experience working with MBA Crystal Ball? Which consultant did you work with? Any aha moments maybe, or anything that kind of sort of stuck out while you were going through the process?
Okay, so my mentor was Avinash, and I am so grateful. I'm so grateful to him. I think coming here was the best decision that I took. Coming to the way MCB worked, I the process really resonated with me. So you start with a meet me document, and then we start preparing the drafts. If I summarize it, it was a very beautiful self discovery journey is what I would say. The
Sure.
process, the and with every draft that you prepare, the probe questions Avinash would ask me to go forward with the next draft would lead me to retrospecting for long hours that what I did in my profession, and
Right.
that I think was very very beautiful. And the best thing was that it wasn't that goal. So when we would start, it wasn't key. Okay, you have so many words to fill in an essay. You need to write this. Let's start with it.
Yeah.
That's not how we went about it. It by slowly he started to get to know me. We went through my entire professional and personal journey. We picked out stories, and the richness of application was brought into my essays is what I would say. And we grew into it vertically than
Hmm.
just putting a number of stories into one essay.
Right.
We went really to the depth of one story, and we brought out that was brought out very beautifully in the application.
Perfect. Perfect. So tell us, I mean, where all did you apply? Where did you interview? And especially, any kind of interview moments that really still, stay with you.
I applied to IIM ABC. So I lie in the mean age in terms of I lie in the mean cohort group in terms of age and experience. So it was again a simple decision. I applied in ABC, and every interview was around my career break. So before starting my application, I thought that I was a little underconfident because I thought I come from a very generic linear profile, just one profession, and this was one area where I thought maybe is not so good, and the other
Yeah.
one was career, and every interview went around that.
Hmm.
So you could only prepare so much, but after every interview, I felt okay. This is this is
Okay.
something new. The questions
Okay.
were such.
Okay.
Um, yeah, all my interviews were around the career break, and
Right.
I, I liked my interviews. All
Hmm.
three
Okay.
colleges.
Got it. Okay. And so, what were the results? Where all did you make it? What kind of scholarships you got? Tell our viewers about that.
Okay, so initially, my first interview was Bangalore's. I didn't make it there. My second was Calcutta's. I got waitlisted there, and that got confirmed just 2 weeks back.
Okay.
I made it to Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad was my final interview. I gave it my all in
Yeah.
Ahmedabad's interview, and I got in there, and I got a entry scholarship of 25%.
Right. Right. That's awesome. And I understand that you're doing this interview from your campus.
Yeah, I'm sitting in my dorm as we speak. Yeah.
Great, great. That must be an amazing feeling. Tell me, then, especially on this career break, right? Any tips that you might have for people who might be struggling with a similar sort of issue or, area of concern, how to navigate, and maybe, some tips, how you addressed it in your, when you were asked during these interviews, anything that you can share.
Okay, so I would say that I am in a good position to share because my career break was long. It went about 1 year, 9 months or so.
Yeah, that's right.
So, firstly it's not a taboo. It's very very okay to take career breaks. Second, you need to be very clear with what you want out of it. Either it's a personal discovery, or you are not sure about your profession and you want to explore a while, and or health reasons or anything. You need to be the reason needs to be solid, that why are you taking a break.
Yeah,
For that you need to be honest to yourself.
right.
And thirdly, I would say that please surround yourself with a trusted group of people who are accepting and who keep
Hmm.
giving you reality checks in
Right,
time to time,
right.
with whom you can share, because it won't be easy when you see your peers working at the time. But
Yeah,
again, you need to have that motivation why you're doing it.
right,
Um,
right.
yes, that's all. I hope.
Okay. Okay. And so, just going deeper on this point, because this can be very, very useful, for future applicants. When you were probed, so was there like a lot of grilling, like counter questions about the break? How did that kind of experience go, especially during the interviews?
Oh yes. So the most recent that I can recall was Ahmedabad's interview, because so I would tell you about that experience. The first question itself started with that.
Oh,
Okay, so you took
wow.
a career. The first question was that, and it was a 25-minute long discussion over
Oh,
that
wow.
career break.
Right.
And so I would say that it was not grilling. They were just trying to know you better.
Hmm.
So so they questioned that why so and so. Okay, I decided to travel. What did you gain out of it? How did you gain such skills? How is that gonna help you in your MBA admits,
Hmm.
in MBA journey?
Yeah.
How you contribute to the cohort? So see, you cannot just take a break and be idle.
Correct.
They would ask you a lot of questions around what skills did you gain, what was your learning experience, and you need to be very very honest with it,
Right.
and how that resonates with how do you link that with your MBA
Hmm.
MBA's decision.
Hmm.
So almost all the interviews were around it. Ahmedabad's interview, they probed
Right,
me a lot
right.
on
And
it.
so did you kind of think you had prepared all of it beforehand? Were there any kind of surprises while you were kind of addressing or facing these questions?
There were surprises. There were surprises. See, but you will be able to navigate through them if your intent is solid.
Right.
If you know why you're doing MBA, this is a
Hmm.
very I know it is a very cliche question, why an MBA,
Yeah.
but it is very important why you are here. Even after this, you're doing it at a 7 years, 8 years professional experience. So it is important why you're doing it at this stage, and what you did in your break, and how is that going to help you. So for me, I came from a hospitality tech industry and I traveled for a year. One
Right.
of the aha moments for them was this happened in Bangalore interview, that I traveled solo. So I traveled internationally. I traveled for many days. I traveled them solo.
Yeah.
I didn't point that before, but I'd like to point it
Sure,
here.
sure.
This was this was brought out in my application. Aha
Hmm.
moment with MCB was with MCB was that I thought this is a very normal thing to do.
Hmm.
Traveling solo is
Yeah.
a normal thing to do, but Avinash said no.
Yeah.
This is not normal. This is
Absolutely.
yeah, this is a point of self discovery here, that
Correct.
okay, so it was brought out in my application and was same question in a Bangalore interview as well.
Yeah.
So I travel solo, and yeah, coming back to that, the industry that I came from, I also explored that while I was traveling. So how this
Hmm.
hospitality that I see, the products in restaurants, I saw, I observed, I went through those, I spoke to a lot of people regarding those products in different geographies internationally. So that is also an experience that I gained through my travels. And they would try to question you. The
Yeah.
interviewers would try to question you a lot on this, how this will help you in your MBA, and I was able
Right.
to do that properly
Right.
because again, my intent was clear that why am I going to do an MBA, and I think I utilized my career break quite well.
Hmm. And
Best.
IIM interviews are also known for, I mean, asking questions on current affairs, industry, I mean, so what kind of preparation, or if any, you did on that front, and how did it go? Did it come up during interviews?
So I am. So in Bangalore, they asked me questions around my industry. They
Right.
didn't ask me political current affairs, but
Yeah,
they
sure.
would ask me around my industry, and which was software and IT. Ahmedabad, they didn't ask me any. Ahmedabad, you have a separate format as well. It's an extempore that goes
Yeah,
on for
that's
around
right.
minutes, and then the professional one. I got political topics in
Hmm.
extempore. I took another chit, and even the second topic was a political topic for me.
Right, right.
Uh,
How
yeah,
did you
so
prepare? I mean, any sort of tips that you have on both, how to prepare for the industry kind of specific ones and for this extempore or this politically, I mean, political affairs kind of areas?
all right. So for industry related knowledge, that comes from experience.
Yeah.
So that I didn't do any
You didn't do
specific
like a
preparation.
special reading or, all that research or anything like that.
I was already in consumer facing industry, so
Right.
that I gained through my work
Experience.
ex
Mm-hmm.
through experience. So I didn't do any industry related prep. I did go through extempo topics for IIM Ahmedabad on GMAT Club,
Yeah.
but uh, that that didn't help because this year
Yeah. I mean, every topic is new. I mean, you'd be super
every
lucky to
topic
get,
is new.
yeah.
So so my agendas for interviews were very different. So regarding my professional side, I have already done the work during
Hmm.
my S.
That's right.
I've already retrospected. I've already had my story straight. So my preparation was majorly around just structuring my answers well,
Right.
in the interviews. So with every answer that I say, I
Sure.
need to make sure that my skills are being brought up.
Right.
So structuring my answers well was very important for my interviews. And things that you don't know, I mean, extempore, just it's a hit or miss. If you're lucky, you might get something that you know of. I didn't
Right.
do any specific preparation for that.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
And to tell you, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, my extemp went terribly in IIM
Hmm.
Ahmedabad's interview.
Right.
Again, it's a different experience because I didn't even know what the topic meant.
Okay.
It was so I had to ask the professor
Right.
that I don't know what this. I'm not aware of what this law
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
They tried to help me a bit, and it was a 10 to 15 minute extempore where
Hmm.
I couldn't
Wow.
sense of what the topic is,
Right.
what standing for or against this means.
Wow. Okay.
But the questions that they would ask me, it was intense. The example was intense, but the questions that they would ask me, I would try to respond to them
Yeah.
to the
Right.
best of my knowledge. So
Right.
they are not testing your knowledge of the topic;
Hmm.
they're testing your critical thinking ability.
That's right.
Is
And maybe, also the poise, that you did not kind of get anxious. I'm sure you kind of carried yourself well with confidence at that point?
Oh yes, after that terrible extempore, I took one deep breath and then I said, okay, let's start with the
Right.
next part. And in the end, also you need to be honest with
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
interviewers.
Yeah.
They are very experienced. So towards the end of interview, I admitted that I was not aware of this topic.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
this is
Yeah.
something that I think I have done differently when I
Right.
speak to my peers.
Yeah. No, I mean, and then rest is history, as we see. Uh, Great, Roma. Thanks so much for sharing your journey. I'm sure it'll inspire many future applicants. All the best with your endeavors. And we'll closely track your professional journey.
Okay, thank you so much, Manish.
Thank you.
I hope I was of help.
This is
Thank you.
very useful.
We hope you found this interview helpful. At MBA Crystal Ball, we've helped many applicants get into the elite business schools, often with scholarships. Reach out if you're looking for professional help with your applications. Good luck.